Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the second lesson for this week about cause and effect essays. It would be advisable if you have, of course, your book and a pen and pencil, pen or pencil, and also a highlighter. All right, let's get started. Okay, please turn to page 65 in your textbook. And let's quickly review the purpose and structure of cause and effect essays. In the last lesson, we discussed cause and effect essays. We discussed the purpose as well as the structure. Remember that a cause and effect essay seeks to explain why certain actions, situations, behaviors, and events also happen. We want to highlight the reason and or obviously the outcomes of an action, a situation, a behavior, or an event. Okay? Now, the structure of a cause and effect essay has to present both cause and effect. Last class, I talked about the structure, and I mentioned that in the body paragraphs, you would have one body paragraph dedicated to cause or effect, and the other two body paragraphs would be dedicated to either cause or effects. Just depends on your topic and if you were asked to focus on causes or if you were asked to focus on effects. Today you will see another style of cause and effect essays. Of course, I can't throw everything at you at one time to say, hey, look, there's different styles of essays. Sure, of course there are. So some of you in your exams, I think you try to model this type of style, which is presented in your book. And I caught on to some of you, and some of you did it well, but some did not because you didn't quite understand how to do it. So we'll talk about this in detail today, but there are more than one style. So um, if it's hard for you to follow the style that's in the book, then go back to my advice and write, like I said, one paragraph on cause or effect, and then the other two body paragraphs on either cause or effect, depending on the topic. Then you can't go wrong because for sure you've explained your cause in more detail. Now, there's a reason that there's different styles. The one that I just spoke about with the body paragraphs, this is if you need to really explain or give more background about the cause or the effect. Okay? This is the reason why you would dedicate an entire paragraph to it. So the topics that I've given you are quite general and they are quite complex. They're a little bit more complicated. So you would need to describe the cause or effect in more detail. As you'll see in the book, the style that they present is perfectly fine. And you'll see why, and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail. All right, so now that you are clear about the purpose and the structure of a cause and effect essay, let's keep going. For this lesson, I'm going to take you through two student essays as presented in your book. The first one, as you can see in your slide, is on page 65. We're still on page 65, and it's called Effects of a Positive Outlook on Our Lives. If you are able to pause on your device, then you can go ahead and pause here because I am going to read the entire essay to you. Have your pen, pencil, or highlighter out. Annotate as you need. Maybe you want to underline the thesis. Maybe you want to highlight the hook, so on and so forth. As you can see, I'm going to ask you what is the cause or causes and effect or effects. Okay, the reason why it's in parentheses it is because it depends. You might have, obviously, we would have one cause and maybe three effects, or one effect and three causes in this type of essay. We'll see. Okay, or we could have one cause and two effects. It just depends on the structure of the essay, which we will look at in more detail. Okay, so pay attention to what I told you about the structure of a cause and effect essay, it has to include cause and effect. But I also mentioned dedicating certain paragraphs to cause and effect, and that also depends on your topic. Now you'll notice something different regarding what I said and what you'll see in the book. Okay, and I'll ask you for some interpretation about that a little bit later. Okay, so on page 65, I'm going to pause after each paragraph. Happiness is a state of being that everyone wants to achieve. A positive outlook can help you be happy and change the outcome of your life. It can enrich your relationships, improve your health, and guide you through some of life's greatest challenges. So, this is the introduction paragraph. Our hook tells us the topic. Happiness is a state of being that everyone wants to achieve. So, we know we're going to talk about some form of happiness. Okay, and the focus here, a positive outlook can help you be happy and change the outcome of your life. You might want to make a note of that because I'm going to ask you about cause and effect. Is the cause here? Where are the effects? Can you tell from the thesis? The thesis says it can enrich your relationships, improve your health, and guide you through some of life's greatest challenges. Okay, so everything should be clear in our introduction. The bodies are just meant to expand on that information. So the first body paragraph says, still on page 65, a positive outlook helps you find happiness in professional, social, and personal relationships. Having a positive attitude will help you find a good job and keep it. Colleagues enjoy working with someone who always looks at the bright side and avoids conflict. Friends will appreciate your energy and want to spend more time with you. A happy person makes everybody else happy. It is contagious. Happiness and a positive outlook on life can also have a beneficial effect on personal relationships. As a consequence, any partnership will be a solid, strong, and happy relationship. Okay, looking at that first body paragraph, our topic sentence clearly relates to our thesis and mentions, I won't say, but it mentions something related to cause or effect. Is it a cause or is it effect? You tell me. A positive outlook helps you find happiness in professional, social, and personal relationships. And as you can see at the end of that body paragraph, we have a nice little transition or conclusionary sentence here for our body paragraph. As a consequence, any partnership will be a solid, strong, and happy relationship. So not only are we kind of wrapping up the topic for this paragraph and adding some sort of analysis in this paragraph, but as a consequence, we talked about that last lesson about consequence. Isn't consequence another word for effect? Okay. So we're relating this back to the thesis. Okay. All right, so the second body paragraph, having a positive outlook also makes a person healthy. In fact, medical science has proven that stress, which causes many of today's common illnesses, such as high blood pressure, heart disease, and cancer, can be avoided when people feel good about themselves. If you have a good sense of humor and laugh a lot, a chemical substance called serotonin will be released in your bloodstream, giving you an immediate feeling of well-being and tranquility. It has also been found that the elderly recover faster from illness when they are cheerful. Being positive and happy is synonymous with health and longevity. Okay, so our topic sentence, having a positive outlook also makes a person healthy, relating back to our thesis. Okay, the writer gives a lot of support for this topic sentence. And then our transition slash conclusionary sentence for that body paragraph, being positive and happy is synonymous with health and longevity. Okay, kind of tying everything together for that paragraph. Okay, the third body paragraph says, finally, People with positive outlooks are stronger and capable of confronting difficult situations. They develop clear minds, which help them cope with life's challenges better than those individuals who are not at peace with themselves. Happy people's optimism creates the strength needed to find rational solutions to many unexpected problems that life presents. This optimism also promotes self esteem. For example, happier students are more likely to approach professors for help when they are having some trouble in their coursework. In contrast, unhappy or less happy students may internalize their frustrations and be less likely to seek out help. Okay, so there's a lot of support and explanation for this writer's topic sentence, which states, finally, people with positive outlooks are stronger and capable of confronting difficult situations. So even though this information is pretty obvious, it takes a good writer to be able to explain what seems to be obvious to people, explain it in detail. So despite the fact that this essay is written in second person and there's some vague language like a lot, this is a well-written essay. In our conclusion, we should have a restatement of the thesis. Let's see. In conclusion, it is a good idea to have a positive outlook and recognize what makes us happy since it will bring us more harmony. I would have to say that that is the restatement of the thesis. Happiness will bring us strong relationships, good health, and the ability to face any obstacle. If we promise ourselves to laugh more and think positively, we will change our lives for the better. Okay, so yes, there is some switching into first person there. Like I said, I wouldn't model every aspect of this essay. However, still, in terms of structure, it's a well-written essay. Now, this writer gave some evaluation, okay, and some advice in the conclusion. Like I said in the last lesson, be careful when you are writing a cause and effect essay or any type of informative, objective essay. Do not put your opinion in the body paragraphs, okay? Leave that for the conclusion. There's space for you to do that. If you're so excited about commenting, you can do that in the conclusion. All right, so hopefully you were able to identify the cause or causes and effect or effects. If you were not able to do that, go ahead and reread the essay, look through the introduction and the background information, okay, and then look through the topic sentences for the body paragraphs and try to figure that out. I will virtually see you on the next slide. Hopefully you were able to determine that there is one cause and three effects. So you should have found the cause in the introduction paragraph, and that was pretty clear in the background information. The background is between the hook and your thesis. So a positive outlook can help you be happy and change the outcome of your life. Okay? Now, we have also three effects, and those effects are very clear in the thesis statement. It's right there. It refers to talking about the positive outlook, okay? And then, of course, the three effects are listed in the thesis. So, literally, you shouldn't have had to look at the body paragraphs to figure that out. So there's one cause, and in this case, there are three effects. Now you'll notice that the structure is a little bit different than what I've told you because there's different styles of essays for cause and effect. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. To continue, what do you notice about the structure of this essay? Is it different from the structure I lectured on previously? Well, it is, and this is okay. And I'll tell you why this is okay. Again, as I kind of touched on earlier, it depends on your topic. In this case, for this student essay on pages 65 and 66, it doesn't really require an entire paragraph talking about positive outlook on life. It's really not necessary for this topic. Yes, it is a general topic, but it's pretty obvious in a sense. We don't really need a lot of discussion in an entire paragraph for this. Um, so it depends on your topic, right? So in this case, this is fine, but there is still a cause, and it's still obvious. You cannot write a cause and effect essay without having both. But in this case, the cause is clear in the background information of the introduction paragraph. This is a very short introduction paragraph. However, it could be a couple sentences longer. Let's say you still don't feel like a whole paragraph is needed for your cause or your effect, okay? You can put all that information in the background of your introduction paragraph, and then you can dedicate all 3 body paragraphs to your um, to your to your effects or your causes. Okay, so you can do 3 of those in your thesis. You can put all of those in the how of your thesis. Now, what you'll notice for some of you, fortunately I'm not there, so you won't really be able to get your rubrics back. But some of the comments that I made on essays before this whole 30-day state of emergency situation happened is um, some of you did follow the structure. You put all 3 causes or all 3 effects in your thesis, and you dedicated 3 body paragraphs, which should be correct. But there's something else that you have to do when you write this style of cause and effect. Each body paragraph needs to relate back to the cause or the effect. Okay? It has to relate back to it. So that's what I was trying to touch on when I kept talking about the conclusion sentences in each body paragraph. For example, in the first body paragraph, it says, as a consequence, any partnership will be a solid, strong, and happy relationship. As a consequence is what? Okay? Is an effect, consequence. As a consequence of the cause, okay, do you see what the writer did there? So each body paragraph always relates back to the cause, okay? Relating back to the thesis is very important. Obviously, that's for any essay. Any style of essay, you have to relate back to your thesis. That's no question. However, in cause and effect, each body paragraph has to relate back to, depending on your structure, the cause or effect. So if I write 3 body paragraphs about 3 effects, those 3 effects need to relate back to the cause for each body paragraph. Now let's say I flip it and I'm starting with the effect. Fine. So the effect, I have one effect, and the effect is mentioned in my introduction, and I have 3 causes in my 3 body paragraphs. Those 3 causes need to be related back to the effect. It's the same thing, doesn't matter. So this style is okay. If you find this confusing, it's really not confusing. It's just that it just depends on your writing style, and it also depends also on practice. Can you implement this well? Okay. If you find it difficult to relate everything back, then stick with the other style when you explain and dedicate an entire paragraph to the one cause or the one effect, and then you dedicate the other 2 body paragraphs to the 2 causes or the 2 effects. Okay, so there's 2 different styles in this case of cause and effect essay. And again, it depends on how complex or complicated your topic is. If it's a simple topic like this, it's perfectly fine to be very short about the cause, the one cause, or about the one effect. You don't need a whole paragraph. If it's more complicated, like some of the topics I gave you on the exam, you probably need an entire paragraph to dedicate to the one cause or the one effect. Okay, I hope that was clear. We will look at the next essay as well. which is flipped, so that you can hopefully better understand the structure. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so now we're going to look at the second student essay titled Factors That Lead to Success in College. We are now on page 69. From the title, it should be obvious what's the cause and what's the effect. If it's not, that's okay. So listen as I read, and I'm going to help you understand the essay, paragraph by paragraph, just like I did for the other. Now, keep in mind, I want you to find the cause or causes and effect or effects, just like we did in the previous one. So maybe you need to take your highlighter out or your pen or pencil. Okay, so follow along with me on page 69, going to 70. Factors that lead to success in college. The first paragraph says, the road to success in college is full of obstacles that might interfere with students reaching their goals. Despite these obstacles, students can achieve their dream of earning their degree. They need support from family and friends, strong motivation, and the ability to focus. All right, so we know from our hook that we're talking about success in college. Okay, the writer also mentions that it's full of obstacles. So there are certain I have to use this word things. There's certain ways, not things. There's certain ways that students can achieve their goals. Okay, and then we have some background information. Despite these obstacles, students can achieve their dream of earning their degree. Okay, it's very simple. We don't need a lot of elaboration or details on that. The thesis says they need support from family and friends, strong motivation, and the ability to focus. We have the how. We have all three. We have all three factors. Do you think that these factors are effects, or do you think that they're causes? Okay, so the first body paragraph says, first, college students need the support of their families to succeed. If they are lucky, they have families that protect and nurture them. Their family members act as helping hands, friends who they can depend upon emotionally. Students need the support system to help them realize their own capacity, even when they doubt themselves. For example, because the workload is too great or the exams are too hard, students may get discouraged. Families can encourage them to persevere. In addition, tuition and books are very expensive. Consequently, some students are forced to work. If they receive financial assistance from their families, they can dedicate all their time to their studies. I want you to see how that there's lots of cause and effect right there in this body paragraph. This happens, and as a result, this happens. Okay? So books are very expensive, tuition is very expensive. So as a result of that, consequently, students will have to work. Now, what will happen if students have to work? Then they won't be able to dedicate all their time to their studies. Okay? And in this paragraph, the writer just did the positive version. If they receive financial assistance, then they can dedicate all their time to their studies. So there's a lot of logic going on here. Okay? And that's what cause effect is also about. A lot of logical sentences. All right? So we already have cause and effect within the topic itself in the individual paragraph. All right? Now, let's move on to the second body paragraph, because the conclusionary sentence in the first body paragraph was quite good. It summarized the topic for that paragraph, and now it's safe to say we can move on. Students need to keep up the motivation they need to study. Students have many obligations to fulfill, such as completing homework assignments and research projects, studying for exams, and writing term papers. Many students work after school and arrive home late at night. Only dedicated and responsible students will push themselves to finish their work before going to bed. When the options are to go to a party with friends or stay home and work, only determined students will choose to study. Okay, so the second topic sentence is quite clear, right? Both of them relate back to the thesis. The first one, college students need the support of their families to succeed. The second one, students need to keep up the motivation. And it's explained. Okay, so in this writer's opinion, being motivated and dedicated is surmised by being able to push yourself and being able to work and know when it is appropriate to work rather than social obligations that maybe are not a priority at the time. Okay, so all that is explained, and the conclusionary sentence is succinct. When the options are to go to a party with friends or stay home and work, blah 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 blah. It's similar to the first body paragraph's conclusionary sentence, okay? That cause and effect type. So good. It didn't conclude the idea for the entire essay, just for that paragraph. So good. We have good flow. So let's move on to the third body paragraph. It says students also need to focus on realistic academic goals. Many students are not aware of the importance of selecting the right college and major. In fact, a wrong decision may result in a waste of time and money. For example, students may have very high expectations and select a major that presents demands they cannot meet. In some cases, they find themselves on a career path that they do not enjoy. As a result, they may have to change their major or drop out of college when they realize that they cannot keep up with their grades, or they cannot keep up their grades. If they are more focused on what they want, the better their chances will be to achieve their goals. Okay, so this third body paragraph in the topic sentence makes it very clear about the topic. Okay, students need to focus on realistic academic goals. Okay, and then the writer goes and talks about cause and effect. We can see some language that's important to that. For example, and in fact, and as a result. Okay, and if. You see a lot of if clauses. Okay, so I want you to notice that type of language because in the next lesson, we're going to talk about some language that is very important for cause and effect essays. Okay, conditional words and conditional tenses, and um, also introductory clauses like as a result, in fact, like I just said, consequently, these types of introductory clauses. Okay. Anyway, let's keep going. So if they are more focused on what they want, the better their chances will be to achieve their goals. That conclusionary sentence summarized the topic for that paragraph. Now we can go into our conclusion safely. If students are enthusiastic about what they are studying, realistic about their academic goals, and receive support from their families, their college journey will be easier. That whole sentence was a restatement of the thesis. Check mark. They need to transform themselves into eagles. An eagle knows how to focus on what it wants and capture it even when the distance is great. So this is the author's advice and evaluation, more so advice. And he or she also used an analogy or a metaphor in this case. Okay, the eagle. Excellent. As you can see, this essay is a bit more academic, a lot more academic actually. We don't use too many vague terms. It's in third person, so I would say that this is the type of academic essay that I would want to see from you, not the first one. Structure-wise, it was fine. This one, in terms of structure and language, is A+. Okay, this is a great essay. All right, so take a moment. I'm just going to pause myself, and I would like you to find out if what's the cause or causes and what's the effect or effects. Okay, so hopefully you were able to figure it out. You're going to see it pop up on the screen. Okay, so we have the effect. So this essay is flipped from the first one. It starts with an effect. The effect is success in college. That's the outcome, that's the consequence of the three causes, which is very clear in the thesis. Support from family and friends, strong motivation, and the ability to focus. And it makes sense that success is obviously a consequence or an effect of something. You don't usually think of it differently. I mean, you could write about success as a cause for other um, behaviors or situations, sure. But in this case, it makes a lot of sense that the effect is success in college. Okay, and the writer writes about these three causes. Now, notice again that we have the same structure. We don't have a specific paragraph that is dedicated to success in college, the effect, because in this case, it's not really needed. It's not necessary. It's better for this kind of topic to just kind of highlight that, okay, this is the cause. Excuse me, this is the effect. Okay, this is the effect. I'll make that very obvious. And then focus more on the causes. So again, it really depends on the topic that you're given. But this kind of structure works well for this kind of topic. And if you're still confused on when to use the different styles, look at it this way. What more would you have to say in a paragraph about success in college that isn't already very, very obvious? Okay, most people relate college with success already, so there's really not a whole lot to say. Whereas a topic like discrimination, maybe someone isn't so familiar about that particular type of discrimination you're talking about because in their culture, that's not obvious. Okay, or maybe they haven't read a lot of information about that. Or even pollution. You would think that pollution would be very obvious. However, in different communities around the world, certain activities like recycling is not important or it's not done. Or maybe it's something that people in that community don't really think about for whatever reason, whether it's culture or it's a poor community, so survival is the most important, or it's something that they've been doing already for many generations, so it's not really something that they think about because they've already been doing it. In those cases, you might want to expand more on pollution in that case, and the specific type of pollution that you're talking about, or if you're talking about all types of pollution. So it just really depends, right? Now, if you will, please go to page 71. We're going to skip the questions. It's comprehension. On page 71, we have the rhetorical focus. So again, just like in the first essay we read, the second essay, each body paragraph related those causes back to the effect. It has to always relate back each time, okay? So a cause may have many effects, for example, okay? But they all must be logically related, and vice versa. An effect might have many causes, but they must be logically related, okay? Now, this is a little bit different than, let's say, relating them in each paragraph. This is a little bit different than what I'm saying. Okay, this is a different topic. What I'm saying is each body paragraph, it has to relate back to the one cause or the one effect. Okay, that has to be clear in the language within your body paragraphs. Very similar to what you've just read in the essays 1 and 2. Now, what it's saying on page 71 is that um, everything has to be logical, which is obvious, but for some people, it's not. Now, that's when you have to go back to your topic sentence for each body paragraph. Is the information that you're putting in your body paragraph relating back to your topic sentence? Okay? In this case, your topic sentence is the cause or effect. So automatically, it should click for you as to whether the information is it actually an effect or a cause of the topic, right? So let's look at this example here. So what's crossed out is another effect is that public transportation can be very expensive. Okay, so let's go back and read the entire paragraph and see why is that irrelevant. Bus strikes can disrupt the lives of residents in a city. When buses are on strike, many people are forced to find alternative means of transportation. Some may take taxis. However, during a strike, it is often difficult to get a taxi. Other riders may create carpools to deal with the inconvenience. Another effect is that public transportation can be very expensive. The worst effect is when workers cannot get to their jobs and lose much needed income. Okay, so this paragraph is talking about how the cause, which are bus strikes, so the workers, the bus drivers, I should say, refuse to work. They refuse to drive the buses because maybe the government's not giving them enough money or support, something like that. That's what a strike is. And as a result, these different effects happen. Okay, so one of the effects is that people are forced to find other means of transportation. Okay, they have to find another way. So maybe like taxis, but those are more, it's a different form of it's another form, pretty much. Anyway, then let's see. And as a consequence to that, during a strike, it is often difficult to get a taxi. And that's very important. So the focus here is not about cost. It's not talking about money. The writer is focusing on access. It's difficult for people to get a taxi, okay? Because taxis can only hold so many people, right? And here's one of the solutions that the writer presents. Other writers may create carpools to deal with the inconvenience. Okay, skip that sentence about expensive. The worst effect is when workers cannot get to their jobs and lose much needed income. Okay, so the focus for this writer is about access to other forms of transportation. It's not talking about cost, so to speak. Don't get confused by the last sentence that says lose much needed income. That doesn't really relate to the fact that other forms of transportation can be expensive. So this sentence is not logical and doesn't fit this paragraph. It doesn't make logical sense for this paragraph. If the writer wants to expand on the topic of cost, then the writer should do that in a different paragraph. Okay, so again, it doesn't matter if this is a cause and effect essay or not. Everything has to relate back to the topic sentence for a body paragraph. In this case, our topic sentence is a cause, and all of the supporting details in this paragraph are effects or results of that, okay? So all of this has to be related back up to the topic sentence, which is the cause. If it doesn't, it needs to be removed. In this case, we have one unit. We're not talking about an entire essay. We're talking about one paragraph. The cause is the topic, and then the effects are in the body for this paragraph, okay? So whether it's an individual paragraph or it's an entire essay, it's all the same, okay? One is just a bigger version of the other. So don't get confused by that. So everything has to make logical sense. So as it says here, the cost of transportation is not effect of the strike, and it does not belong in this paragraph. All right, so let's do a little practice. Hopefully you have a pen or a pencil or whatever next to you. And let's look at exercise 3. The first one is done for us. It says, being a happy person can benefit your life in many ways. A happy person can make friends more easily. There are many people all over the world. Happy people can solve their problems effectively. If you look at the beginning sentence as a topic sentence, and then A, B, and C as the supporting sentences, it'll make a lot more sense for you as well. Look how random B is for number 1. There are many people all over the world. What does that have to do with being a happy person can benefit your life in many ways? It's completely irrelevant information. So we would have to take this statement out. Whether it was a topic sentence for a body paragraph or it was within the one paragraph, it doesn't make sense for this overarching idea, which is being a happy person can benefit your life in many ways. Doesn't make sense. So number 2 through 5 will do, and I'm going to give you some time, not too long, to figure it out on your own. Number 2 says, it is important to get a college education. Go ahead and mark the sentence that does not relate to the statement. Okay, hopefully I gave you enough time. The answer you should have marked is C. It's irrelevant. Many colleges offer scholarships. It is important to get a college education. Okay, many colleges offer scholarships. It does not make sense. It's not in effect in this case. All right, number 3, air pollution has many negative effects. For number 3, you should have marked A. An example of air pollution is car exhaust fumes. For this cause, that is not in effect. It makes no sense. Okay. Number 4, watching too much television affects everyone. The answer you should have marked is C. Many homes have more than one TV. This is not an effect and it does not relate to the cause. Watching too much television affects everyone. Okay, it has nothing to do with us. Okay, so number 5 says there are many advantages to using computers. The answer you should have marked is A. Computers have become more reasonable to purchase. This is not an effect of the cause and it has nothing to do with the topic. All right, so that completes the second lesson for this week. The next lesson will focus on language. We'll look at different different language. We talked about earlier different clauses and introductory phrases and clauses that are good for cause and effect essays. So we'll look at that in some detail. And then I'll also talk to you about your assignment. Again, you are not writing a cause and effect essay. It will not be a part of your portfolio. You are only choosing a topic that I give you and writing an outline. And in your outline, it has to include complete sentences for every single section. So that will be the last lecture for this week. And then also you'll have the assignment that will be due next week. And then we'll go from there. All right. I hope you have a wonderful day.